Welcome to the RE Human Layer Security Podcast, the show that flips the script on cybersecurity. I'm Tim Sadler, the CEO and co-founder of Tessian, and in each episode, I'll be interviewing IT and business leaders about why we need to protect people, not just machines and data, to stop breaches and empower businesses to achieve their missions. Hi everyone, this week I'm delighted to be joined by Lena Smart, Chief Information Security Officer at MongoDB, a $15 billion database company with thousands of employees around the world. Lena joined MongoDB in 2019 with over 20 years of experience in cybersecurity, having previously held the role of Global CISO at Tradeweb. And prior to that, she was the CIO and Chief Security Officer for the New York Power Authority, the largest state power organization in the country. I'm really excited to have her on the show as we discuss the role of security champions and building business cultures. Lena, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Tim. Good morning. Thank you very much for having me here.
So Lena, MongoDB has thousands of employees across the world. What's top of mind for you right now to keep them and the data they manage safe?
So I actually view our employees as our strongest link. I know I've spoken to other CISOs and CIOs who actually view their employees as the weakest link, and I don't. Our employees are definitely the strongest link here. And we want to make sure that they can work productively and as safely as possible without having to worry too much about the technology behind it. And we do that, in many ways. Obviously, we use technology to its greatest extent. We have endpoint security. But I think more importantly, we have very regular communication about security and the individual employee's role in keeping us secure. And I think when you give people a personal vested interest in keeping their own company secure, it kind of ups the game a wee bit. And so we have newsletters, we have a monthly security newsletter, we do all hands meetings. I'm actually talking at that tomorrow night for our West Coast and Asia Pac employees, where we'll be talking, for example, about our latest phishing program. We obviously send emails occasionally to let people know to be on the lookout for maybe a phishing attempt that's happening. And then, of course, we've got our very successful Security Champions program, which really helps us get that message out.
So we often hear that, people are considered the weakest link in an organization. Why do you think that's the default opinion of so many people in the security community?
Well, because it's the people who click on the links. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, if you're sent an email and someone doesn't know what they're doing with it, they click the link, they're hit with ransomware, or they're hit with a virus that spreads across the entire country, everyone's going to point to that employee and say, well, they clicked on the link, so it's their fault that we were exposed to this. And, I would kind of turn that on its head and say, well, why didn't you have layers and layers of security at your front door to try and stop the bad stuff to get through? And I get that. Everyone gets hundreds, if not thousands, of phishing attempts and spam attempts every day. And, we're trying to up the software to protect against that as quickly as the bad guys are writing new code to subvert it. And so it's a never ending, chasing game. But I think to blame someone for clicking on a link on what could look like a very genuine email is just the wrong kind of attitude to take. It should be, if you click on this link, if you're not sure who it's from, don't click on it. If you weren't expecting this email, don't click on it. If you're just genuinely not sure, click on the phishing link and let the security team look at it for you, and we can help you. Give people tools and give people education and training on how to handle, and I'm talking about email and phishing a lot because that's obviously the easiest way for the bad guys to get in, to click that one link. So I think rather than saying that your employees are your weakest link, train them, educate them, give them tool sets, and help them become the strongest link, because these are the people who are seeing things on the screen that you're not seeing. They know when something's off. You're not seeing their screen. So, to my mind, I have 3,000 security champions at MongoDB because these people, they know that they can come to the security team and, we will take the time to listen to them, we will help them, and we'll take their concerns seriously.
And I guess that's an important part of it. It's building trust and having empathy for employees means that they're more likely to share that information and share those insights with you. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know where else you've worked in the past, but I've seen examples where security teams in some companies are viewed as the enemy. We don't talk to the security team because they read our emails or they spy on us. I mean, people have said that to me from other companies, and that horrifies me. That view horrifies me, because you've then got the employees at that company mistrusting the very team who's meant to protect them from the bad stuff, and they're not going to go and report something in case the security team dismisses them and says, oh, that's stupid, don't be ridiculous, we're not going to even waste our time investigating that. Work together, build that trust, build those bridges between the business departments and the business units. And as I said, with something like a security champions program, have people embedded in each department who are interested in learning more about security, and they can almost become, the voice box for your security program within their group. And so that's an even deeper level of trust.
We're in this moment now where offices are starting to open up again. How's that impacted your security strategy and how you protect employees? What surprises have occurred over the last 18 months as we've transitioned from in-person to remote to hybrid? How are you thinking about that?
So we've been I don't know if lucky is the right word, prepared probably. We were incredibly prepared. We do a lot of tabletop exercises, and shortly before COVID hit, one of the scenarios was a large portion of our workforce is out sick, or they can't get to the office. Something bad has happened, which means that we can't get to the office. And so we'd done a lot of that investigation already. Do we have enough bandwidth to work from home? Does everyone have a laptop that's secured with our software? So, I mean, to be perfectly honest, and we're extremely lucky that we've really had no surprises at all. I mean, our C-suite has been incredibly flexible and transparent throughout the whole event. We set up a committee where we would get together when this first happened, gosh, every day at first, then twice a week, then once a week, then, down to once a month. But the decisions that we've made have been in tandem with what our employees have asked. We've had pulse surveys that were sent out initially once a week, once a fortnight, once a month, so that we can gauge the temperature of where people are. What's people's mental health like? Can we offer assistance there? What do you need in terms of a home office? Can we give you a stipend so you can get a standing desk if you need one? And, for the folks who just needed a break, take a break. We have paid time off. Take that time off. Use that time to kind of reset. And so I think that's shown just in the kind of the amount of participation that we've had in the questionnaires that we've sent out. If people weren't interested in working for us or continuing to work for us, they wouldn't have bothered filling out half these questionnaires. And we've had, over 95% of employees completing these questionnaires and letting us know what they need. And also, supervisors and managers were told from the outset, listen to your teams, what do they need? Let us know what they need so that we can get back to them quickly. And just that level of communication and transparency, I believe, has really helped see us through this absolutely terrible pandemic.
And just hearing you talk in these answers, it's so clear that MongoDB, you really have this deep focus on the employee and thinking, as we would say at Tessian, in a human-first way. I'm really keen to talk to you about the Security Champions program that you built at MongoDB. So I think this was one of the first things you did when you joined the organization. How did it come about?
So I had started this, many years ago when I worked at the New York Power Authority. We tried to start something like this. I don't think we called it a champions program. I think it was just security, and it dawned on me that there was a lot of people who were interested in security, but they'd no outlet for it. Some of us would get together over lunch and talk about stuff, but there was no kind of formal program. And so when I moved into TradeWeb, we kind of tried to set that up as well. And we did to a certain extent. It was a smaller version. And so I kind of fine-honed what I was looking for, fine-tuned what I was looking for in my mind as to what the Security Champion program was. So then when I went to a fully tech company, at MongoDB, I thought, oh, we could definitely make a positive difference here. And so we did set up the program probably 3 months after I started. So again, I was like the first CISO there. So it was, everything's new. So, well, we'll just try this. This is new as well. And then unfortunately, just some months later, COVID hit. And so we decided to take it, put it on the back burner. People had other things to worry about. But probably 6 months ago, we decided, we're going to reboot this. We have to start getting back to normal. And we basically hired someone to run the program for us formally. And, the person has other work as well, but their primary role is to help run the Security Champions program. And they rebooted it. To much fanfare and communication within the company, even up to our CEO talking about it at one of the all hands meeting. We had like a 5-minute spot to say what that was about. Just getting that level of credibility really opened the door for everybody. And there's not many rules around it. You have to have your supervisor's permission. You have to give up a couple of hours a week tops. But after that, anything goes. We've had a capture the flag. We've got a book club. We have over 80 members, and I think there's a waiting list to join, and it's global. So we have people all over the world from all different walks of tech life within MongoDB as part of this.
Could you maybe explain how the program works within MongoDB? So if I'm, an employee, how do I get involved in the program, and what happens when I'm actually accepted into the program?
So obviously you fill in a short questionnaire, like what's your level of expertise. So we have, for example, we've got coders and developers who live and breathe security every day. So for them, we have some very deep dives into certain levels of technology, cryptography, for example, and we have speakers from both within the company and outside the company come, and anyone can go listen to that. We have bi-weekly meetings, obviously they're virtual just now, where we'll have a topic of the day. There's different things to talk about. We have a wiki page where people can go find out more information on it as well. And there's a couple of Slack channels that are pretty chatty. And so the main aim for us is to really share knowledge, first of all, because we've got folks in different departments who've got different views on security that we might not have even thought of. Help decision making. So, for example, we just had our first phishing campaign, and we worked very closely with the security champions to say what would be a good idea for phishing, and something that's not going to annoy people. It's not going to be like, click here to get your summer bonus. That we're not going to do anything like that. So we really had some thoughtful discussion on what a good phishing campaign would look like. And the security champions were a large part of that. We tested them. We used them as our test bed for some of the security tools that we're going to use. They can even help us do things like build threat models, do some of our security reviews, and, our bug bounty. We're looking to initiate a bug bounty program. So, if you look at things like the OWASP security champion playbook, I think they've got version 2 out now. That's basically where I founded mine. I looked at their playbook and thought, this is a great idea. Let's take that and let's run with that.
And when you were getting the program together, how did you roll this out? Did you have to get buy-in from other executives? And what other departments were involved in the program?
So I had spoken about it we have something called eStaff, which is our C-suite that meets once a week. And so I had spoken at this and said, I want to set this up. Just want to let people know that I'll be looking for 1 to 2 hours of people's time a week. This is the benefits from it, the benefits that I just listed for you there. And they were all for it. I mean, up to the point where our CEO stood up in one of our all hands meetings and said, this is what Lena and our team are setting up. This is how you apply for it. There's a short questionnaire. This is the time that you'll have to give. You have to get your supervisor's permission. We don't want people leaving their other work aside to come and, read a book for the Security Champions book club. So they have to kind of fit it in with their existing timelines. But we had, massive support from an early time. And then when we rebooted it, again, Dave, our CEO, said, we're rebooting the program. Here it is. Here's where you'll find all the information. So as I say, we had the wiki page. We had an email where people could get more information if they wanted just to ask questions offline. We had the Slack channel. We had many communication lines open for folks. And then we also allowed supervisors actually nominate people from within their teams if they wanted. Some people are shy, they don't want to come forward, or maybe they didn't hear about it, or maybe they didn't think it was for them, but their supervisor thought, this could be a good idea for so-and-so. They're looking to kind of spread their wings. And it's just been super successful, I think.
Yeah, it's really impressive, and congratulations on setting it up so successfully, and I think so soon after you joined the organization, and also, I guess, during a pandemic to boot. When you think about some of the challenges you faced, it sounds like exec engagement, was there right from the very beginning. But what was the biggest challenge you faced in getting the program set up, and how did you overcome it?
I hate tooting my own horn, but we've really not had any challenges. I guess the first time we tried to set it up, COVID hit, and that was a challenge because we had to decide, do we keep this going as something that people might look forward to? But when we asked the people who were in it, they were like, we're so busy, we're at home, we're trying to work out childcare, or, I'm in a studio apartment with 2 other people, I don't have any privacy. And so we're like, we're just going to put this on the back burner so that people don't have another thing to worry about. And so I guess in terms of challenges, COVID would have been a challenge, but it was a huge challenge for everybody. But MongoDB is just chock-a-block full of very smart people, and they really understand the importance of continued learning. And so I really can't think of any challenge.
Well, that's good to hear. And what has been the impact? So what have you seen in terms of improvements to security across the company, how it's impacted employees? And with any program like this, there's always a question of how do you actually measure the success of it?
So I think in terms of the impact, we've got employees from all different departments. I think we've got representation from every major department in the company, and at least 1 or 2 members from every global location, which is amazing. And so it is really gratifying to me to see people of all technical levels working together to solve cybersecurity problems that might affect MongoDB. As I said, we talked about the phishing campaign, where a lot of people were involved in that and the setting of that up. And I think that having a champion be the voice of their department when it comes to cybersecurity is very empowering to that employee or employees. And it shows the company as a whole just how seriously we take our security program. And I think it's also important to note that teams may be more likely to listen to their own team member telling them about security, rather than my team that they don't interact with every day. They're not seeing them on Zoom every day. They're not sitting beside them when we go back to the office. I think that's just how it goes. Getting back to that whole trust relationship, you're more likely to trust the person that you go for lunch with than somebody in the security team that you might see in the elevator, once a month. And then your second question about how to measure the success of it, that's a difficult question to answer quickly. And I'll see how much time we have, but here goes. So I think if the program was failing, obviously we would see a big dropout number. People just wouldn't turn up to the meetings, and it would be, die in the vine. And as far as I know, there's been no dropouts so far. But in terms of measuring the success of the program, I think it can be measured in how our own internal security program has blossomed just in the past year or so, 7 or 8 months or so. We're engaging far more internal departments and collaborating in projects that we may not have heard of. And also helping to streamline processes. I'm trying to think of a most recent one. Oh yeah, like expediting our third-party onboarding, where we worked with folks in procurement, billing, finance in general, HR, sales. Just a whole bunch of different people got together in a room, and a virtual room. And I think just having these champions in each business unit has opened us up to being able to ask questions of certain departments. And it doesn't sound as though the security team is, sticking their nose in where it's not wanted. It's like, hey, Jim, who's a member of our Security Champions program, mentioned XYZ. can we help you with this? Could we help you do the security review of this vendor, for example? I think longer term, we're going to see, and this is my hope, we're going to see a reduction in ghost IT. So hopefully we won't have so many applications rolled out that departments aren't aware of, i.e. the security department. And also, I think we're just going to find more engagement in things like our phishing campaign. We've got the statistics. Obviously, I'm not going to share them because it's internal, but we did very well, I think. And I think we'll continue to do well as long as we maintain these relationships within the champion program.
And this really is all about, changing or enhancing business culture. And you've been part of many different organizations where, maybe it's had a different approach to, maybe they've had different approaches to security from a cultural perspective. In your opinion, how does a good security culture give businesses a competitive advantage? Why is this so important?
Yeah, that's a really tricky question to answer. I mean, changing a business culture can take years. We know that. But I think the culture at MongoDB is already fairly mature. And I think I've said before, we've got some of the smartest people that I've ever met working here. And they understand how important a mature security program is. And so to my mind, any business that has maturity in security has an immediate competitive advantage. We don't need to worry about the minutiae, the day-to-day stuff. We've got that covered. We know who to call when something goes wrong. There's no culture of blame here. And I think that can be quite rare. And there's an eagerness to learn, but then move on, do the lessons learned, do your hot wash after an exercise or after an event, and then move on rather than dwell on that event. And then, of course, we use training events and events as learning experiences, such as the phishing campaign that we just finished recently.
Do you think that it plays a role in terms of an organization hiring talent? Do you think that people in 2021 and beyond are going to be actually looking at this security approach and the security culture of the organization they join, or do you think we're a few years away from that?
No, I think because, the role of CISO and security teams is a lot more ubiquitous than it was maybe even 5-6 years ago. I think people are looking to companies who've got strong cultural values like MongoDB, and then also have got that maturity of a security program. As I said, I was the first CISO at MongoDB, but that by no means does that mean that they had no security in place before I started. Quite the opposite. They had an amazing security program in place. They just didn't have it under that one umbrella. And, I brought together these different teams, and so that we can, so that can work together and join together. In terms of having the security champion program, we've actually had 2 hires from that, 2 internal hires from that. People who had a good overview of the business. They knew what we were culturally, so we didn't have to teach them that. And regarding the talent shortage, I do like to hire from within where possible. And it's sometimes a lot easier, and this is just my opinion, to teach someone security skills than try and hire someone from the outside who might be technically brilliant, but it might take a long time for them to fit in with the cultural values here and understand the business and understand the architecture of what MongoDB does. So that's where I came from regarding the talent shortage. I would much prefer to teach someone, how to become a pen tester, or, look at risk management, or, tick a box when it comes to something to do with security. But to teach someone the cultural values of a company, that's kind of hard. That can take longer.
That's really interesting. It's amazing to hear that actually you've been able to recruit people internally from this program. It is a really common topic on this podcast where people, in security talk about the talent shortage in cyber. What advice do you have for organizations who are grappling with this challenge? And again, maybe it would be helpful to recap some of the lessons learned of the Security Champions program at MongoDB, and how have you been successful in getting those people actually recruited into the security team? And do you have sort of grand ambitions for that going forward? Do you think it could be one of your major sources of talent in the future?
I think it could be. I think and of course, hopefully this will be building on itself, because people are seeing, oh, look, they're hiring from within. they're putting jobs on the board, but they're hiring from within. There's 2 people that have just moved over from whatever they were doing yesterday to working in the security team today. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I should take a look at the Security Champion program, because that seems a good way in. You're getting to meet the members of the security team regularly. The CISO occasionally joins the meetings. We can ask her questions, and I try to be approachable anyway. But I think just, with sharing this knowledge, and having different initiatives to let folks from the Security Champion program participate in, it gives them an insight into, what does being a security person entail. And some people, I think, maybe watch too much television and think, we're triangulating IP addresses and finding out where people live. And obviously we don't do any of that. But I think what we do try and do is evangelize security so that it becomes just part of the day-to-day routine. We want people to just have security as part of their day-to-day routine, to think twice before clicking that link, to approach the security team with any question they have, to understand that they have personal responsibility for helping keep MongoDB safe and sound in a very unsafe cybersecurity world. And I think that having a program like this gives outsiders a chance to see, oh, look, this is what, because we talk about the Champion program when we're interviewing people as well, because I like to find out what other people have got experience of. And I was surprised actually how rare these programs are. I think there's a lot of, I don't know what you call them, like ad hoc meetings, security folks get together because they like to talk about security, but to actually have a program where we have swag and we give out coins and we have competitions and we have a book club and, we have a Slack channel and we have the CEO selling it as something that people could do and should do to help the company. I think that really just makes the difference. Having that C-level buy-in is like, people are proud to be a member of the Champion program, and they have a voice within their own team, and it gives them, maybe gives them just more of an incentive to stay with MongoDB as well. They're learning 2 jobs, their real job and their security role within the Champion program.
There's a podcast that we did with 2 researchers on the last season, and it was about this concept of removing fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or FUD, away from security, and instead trying to, their research basically showed that fear appeals don't work in security. Like if you're trying to change people's behavior, making them really scared about security isn't going to do it. You've actually got to build self-efficacy. You've got to help them feel empowered. And I think it sounds exactly like what you're building as part of this program, which is making security not only understandable and approachable, but making people feel like they have power. They've got the ability to do their job without security kind of looming over.
You're absolutely right. I think there's nothing more empowering than giving people the time and the latitude and also the confidence in them to go do this. It's like, go read this book on security, come back and tell us what you think about it. They may never have been asked to do that in their job ever, So I think we're giving people the opportunity to show what they're made of, to spread their wings, to learn something new, and to really be part of something that I think is very exciting at MongoDB that helps the company as well. The byproducts of this are myriad. So I think it's a real, and especially as we have this fun swag that we're giving away now, people like t-shirts. They like things where there's commonality. They want to be a member of a group. We want to join in. We were talking about this just before we started this recording about, it's okay sitting at home in your attic in New Jersey and not seeing anybody live, but it will be really nice for the team to meet up in person. That's what we're planning on. We're going to try at least and bring those that we can into the office when it's safe to do so, and have a party, a security party.
I've got to ask, Lena, what's your favorite piece of Security Champion swag that you give out?
Well, we have amazing, and I wish you could see these. We've got the best security swag. Actually, I should get someone to send you one of our t-shirts. My amazing assistant, Dawn, Oh, actually, I should talk about Dawn very quickly. So Dawn Charles was my executive assistant, and she runs my life. I could not do my job without her. She is absolutely amazing. And she expressed an interest about a year ago. She said, I want to get more involved. I said, well, join the Champions program. And so she did. And she loved it. And she just had so many good ideas. And I said, do you want to just come and work for security full time? You can still do EA work because I still need help, obviously, because my calendar's ridiculous. But let's use your brain for something else. And not that, the EAs do a fantastic job here, but Dawn just wanted that little bit extra. She wanted to start learning about stuff. So she's now a full-time security analyst. That's what she's going to do. And so she arranges the swag, and she actually helped with the design of the t-shirts that we have. So if you imagine a biometrics thumbprint, but it's in the shape of the leaf that we have, Leafy, as part of MongoDB. So it's like a green thumbprint inside like a small white border, like a biometric border. So that's their t-shirt swag. So that's just very cool. I'm describing it terribly badly, but we'll send you a t-shirt and you can see it.
Oh, I'd love that. We'll see if we can try and put a link to it in the show notes as well, if we can make that happen.
Cool.
There was a topic you mentioned, or there was a point you mentioned earlier on in the podcast. I just wanted to come back to it. You said, you think it's really important to give people a personal vested interest in security. And I just wanted to drill into that a little bit. So the way I interpret that is, making everybody feel like, if they are practicing security, if they're engaged in security as part of MongoDB, I mean, that's great for them. It's the company they work for. They're keeping the company they work for safe, and they're keeping their customers safe. How do you think about that? And how do you actually build that concept of a personal vested interest in security with employees?
So you were talking about fear, uncertainty, and doubt a minute ago, and it kind of goes to that. I think what we do here, and we try and do it carefully and respectfully, but we let people know what the outcome could have been had they clicked on a bad link. So part of our email and awareness training is, okay, here's an email, here's a safe place for you to practice. Click on the link and see what could happen. And so they'll click on the link, and there's a storyboard behind it. Okay, so you clicked on this link, it opened up a channel. Here's the software that was downloaded. If you have access to X, Y, and Z, now the bad guy could have access to X, Y, and Z, or you were doing your online banking at the same time. Now they may have access to your online banking. And it's education. And I think if people are educated and they understand the results of their actions, it makes them think twice. And that's what I just need people to do, is think twice. Don't just hit things willy-nilly. Don't just, download software that you think is going to be super cool and groovy. Research it, make sure that it's okay for you to download it. And then, in terms of the Security Champions program, go talk to your champions, see if they know anything about it, see if it's a good idea. And then in terms of, again, getting back to phishing and clicking links, because it's just the easiest way for the bad guys to get in. If you're going to think twice before you hit that link, that's good. That's helping me do my job. We're here to help. The security team is here to help. The champions are here to help. There's so many avenues for help that people really couldn't turn around and say, well, I didn't know what to do, so I clicked on the link. It's like, well, you did kind of know what to do, but you still clicked on it anyway. So let's talk about that. And, one of the takeaways that we have from our latest phishing campaign, and this is as a result of talking to some of the security champions, is we realize there's some groups that just need some extra training. And so we're going to target them and give them some extra training on, how to handle phishing emails, who to send them to, why it's bad if you click on the link, and what the outcome could be. Again, always kind of getting back to, you're personally responsible. You have this computer that we gave you. We've put as many tools on it as we can to keep you safe and sound. But at the end of the day, bad stuff's going to get through. No matter how well your house is guarded, you could have 15 locks in the front door. If you leave that back door open or that back window open to let in some fresh air and the bad guy gets in, he's in. So it's just making people aware of their actions. Actions have consequences.
Lena, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great to hear your thoughts on this and also how organizations could build a security champions program. We always finish with some quick fire questions to get to know the humans behind the Human Layer Security podcast a little bit better. So I was going to ask you, what's your favorite city in the world to visit?
That's easy. Glasgow, Scotland.
When did you last go back to Glasgow?
I haven't been in Glasgow for a wee while because I couldn't fly into the airport there, but I did go back to see my mum. She lives in the Highlands of Scotland. She lives near Loch Ness, where the monster is. And so I went back to visit her in May because she wasn't feeling very well, but she's much better now. So I was back in May, and I'm going back in September to run the Loch Ness Marathon.
Oh, that's excellent. And what's your go-to productivity hack? How do you stay on top of everything at work?
Lists. I'm a list aficionado. I love completing lists of things to do. I've got like 5 lists on my whiteboard in my office right now.
So do you use an app for your lists, or do you write them down in an old-fashioned style?
I write it down. I find that writing it down kind of puts it in my brain, and then I know it's there, and then I look at it and I know that it has to get done.
I'm exactly the same. My final question, your diary is cleared for the day. What do you do?
Well, I assume that Dawn has done something wrong because my diary is never clear, but let's assume that it is. I play cello very badly. So I would play some cello and I would read some books, and then I'd probably go for a run because I really do need to keep practicing for this marathon because I've never run one before.
Lena, thank you again. This has been fantastic. It's been great to have you on the show.
Cool. It was fun. We should do it again. Take care.
And that just leaves me to say thank you very much for listening. We'll be back with more human layer security insights in our next episode. But if you can't wait that long, you can visit our blog at tessian.com/blog, where you'll find lots of amazing content, advice, and tips. And if you enjoyed our show, please rate and review it on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts.